Hi, thanks for joining us. We're so excited to have Phil Scott here. He is part of economic development for the Greater Folsom Partnership here in Folsom for the Folsom Chamber. And we're just so grateful to have him here to speak with us today about what is going on in Folsom. And there is a lot going on in Folsom and within our region. So yes, thank you, Phil.
Hi, Phil.
Welcome.
How you doing?
Yeah, hi to both of you. It's always a pleasure to be able to spend time with the two of you, and certainly I hope that anybody who's joining in, if you have more questions, you can get in contact with Tanya and Renee, and they'll be able to get more information from you as it's relevant. So yeah, I love talking about Folsom. I've been here since 1989, and I don't apologize for it. I think it's one of the best places on the planet. We've done a lot of work. A lot of people have dedicated a large portion of their lives. You look at some of our last four council members that have had 15 and 20 plus years on council. That's dedicating a large part of their life. And I'm very grateful to the collaborative effort that's here in Folsom. You really stop and think about it. How many communities on Community Service Day have over 2,000 people show up to help clean up town? So if you take things, it's not just talking about it. There's people here in town that do it. And please understand, it's not just here in Folsom, but along our corridor, the Highway 50 corridor, and here in Sacramento, I still think it doesn't take me long to go somewhere else to want to come back. So yeah, happy to answer.
We absolutely agree with you on that point. Especially relocating from the Bay in 2001, we're so grateful to be in Folsom and have the community that we have and the leaders that we have.
You beat us by 12 years.
Yeah, well, it's been a good run, hasn't it?
Yeah, yes, it has. And we've seen a lot of change just since 2001, since we've been here. It's just amazing how much it's grown and changed and changed for the better. But you've even seen more.
Yeah, I think that's really important that you say that. It's changing for the better. And you look at the activity level of what's going on in Folsom Ranch, right? That's 3,000, call it 3,200 acres, plus or minus, of new growth and development. I think that we're going to get it even better there, right? And that's one of the things that I look at what's happened here in town, and it keeps getting better. And it's gotten bigger, but let's treat it like a fabric, as a blanket. Let's keep it tightly woven. It's okay if it gets bigger. Where problems start is when it becomes frayed or loose, right? So let's agree, let's stay tightly woven. And now between whether it's appliances or cars or men's clothes, whatever, fine dining, we don't have to go out of town anymore. And so it's very different than when I first got here. Look at the safety. Remember what East Bidwell out to Highway 50 was: 2 lanes, no traffic lights. That was a dangerous road. It's not anymore. So, we keep getting better. If you look at our person-on-person crime statistics compared to the region, if you look at our person-on-property statistics, it's very low. And so, it's by a deliberative thought process, and making public safety being our number one and number two expenditures in the city out of the general fund. So it's making it a priority. And, when doing economic development, sometimes it's frustrating to me because there's some communities that they're handing out money to get companies to come. And we, as a policy, we don't in Folsom because we invest in our infrastructure. So if you look at our K-12 test scores and just the graduation rates, right? In Folsom, it's over a 92% graduation rate and going on to some kind of higher education. So we invest in that. And you look at that, it's not inexpensive to have great schools, but we've made that a priority. And so what happens is that then by having a great place, not only to where executives and the people making the decisions about where to locate businesses, but then it's them knowing that they could bring people here, even if they get close to Folsom, somewhere along the 50 corridor, it's going to be fantastic. So I believe that overall, and if you look at, certainly our population now hovering right around 82,000 folks that live here, is we've got Kaiser made their announcement, 260,000 square feet coming on their 50 acres at Palladio. UC Davis Health is going to be building their campus in Folsom Ranch. Dignity's already scraping the ground and will be going vertical here very soon. That if each one of those, which I'm going to go conservative on the estimate, if each one of those employs 2,000 people, that's 6,000 people. That surpasses the number of people that are at Intel. So we continue to diversify our employment base, which is great. We love having Intel here. They're great corporate citizens with their Intel Cares program. That we continue to keep bringing more and more high caliber. General Dynamics is a new addition to our community. We just had Phoenix Motor Car. They literally are already delivering electric vehicles, and now they took over Altergy, which had been in Folsom for 17 years in the hydrogen fuel cell business. And now they're going to integrate that as a source in addition to lithium, right? Because lithium batteries, we all know there's a limited amount of lithium, and getting to it is getting harder and harder, more expensive. So they're moving more towards hydrogen. So there's an example of just these companies that recognize the value of being here. And keep in mind that it's not just our K-12 test scores, but then when we layer in the fact that we have a full junior college campus of Los Rios right here, sidebar, not even a sidebar, is a big announcement. They're building a new, call it plus or minus usable square footage of 60,000 square foot chemistry and biology building. They're going to do the groundbreaking November 30th. So if you don't have anything to do on November 30th, that's a really, really big deal because we continue to get more academic resources here in town, which is an attractant for businesses. Right? Think about it. Somebody could literally on the farthest end of Folsom get across town in 12 minutes. They could go and take a class or two and then get back to work. It's amazing what we have. Later on is, you heard the announcement at Future Folsom, is that we're going to have the 18 acres that at least it looks like is going to go forward vigorously, is the sports complex. So 3 sheets of ice, big enough under roof that could encompass the entire rodeo grounds would fit under roof out there. So just it's exciting times and people continue to see the value of here within our region. Also note that we have a group called the 50 EA. So Folsom, Rancho Cordova, and El Dorado Hills, we get together every 2 weeks and we chat about, hey, what do you have going? What can we do to help, etc. Because we get it that if a company locates in any one of our communities, they're still going to shop and probably live in one of the others.
Right.
When Solidigm, when SK Hynix bought a unit from Intel and they rebranded it Solidigm, they just made the big announcement they're going to move to Rancho Cordova. That's not a loss, even though that's the way it was presented in our large local newspaper. Here, the Folsom loses, and we didn't lose. They went to Rancho Cordova. That's great. If they would have gone to Austin, Texas, if they would have gone to South Carolina, that would have been a loss. But most of those people aren't going to move. They're not going to change their kids' school. So I'm really proud. And I want to also make sure that we talk about GSEC, the Greater Sacramento Economic Council, because of the work that they do, that when those kinds of things those rumors start coming up, to get involved and make sure that our great companies stay. Right? So it's one thing to get them here and then they start to grow, but then to keep them, oftentimes that can be a challenge as well. So I would say it's almost a collegial relationship that we have, and we all get it, that the more we work together and act regionally, that's where we're going to really prosper.
Yeah, right. I absolutely totally agree. We're so grateful to have the community that we have in terms of our schools that you were talking about, Folsom Lake College, our K through 12 school district, and all of the businesses that are starting to actually recognize our region with Intel, Power School, Micron, all of these, as you were mentioning, that are here in our area, and recognizing our quality of life, which is why Renee and I moved here to Folsom, is really recognizing the quality of life that Folsom does offer. And it's not only come here to have access to Tahoe, but it's a place to work. You work, play, and live in a beautiful area like Folsom.
And as a super amateur bike rider, I love that you can get just about anywhere on a bike trail, and south of 50 is going to be even just greater as far as when it comes to biking around. So that makes it really awesome.
Yeah, you're in your business, right, on the real estate side, it's not a difficult conversation to have with people as to why they would move here, right? And just the natural resources alone. And if you look at the uptick of the different sports that are going on between triathlons and Ironmans and things, you can ride a really long way in Folsom, you can run a really long way, and you can swim too. So we've got this different, even adding tourism, right, to our community because of our natural resources. it's very beneficial for us. And it's just, there's so many different things. If you look at, any of the top livable cities in the United States, Folsom most likely is going to be on one of those lists, especially if it's for California specifically. It's a great place. And keep in mind, a great community is not based on just great government. It's got to start with a great economy first. Because if you don't have any money to do the things that government does, then it's not going to wind up being a great community. And we're very fortunate is to have, again, laid the infrastructure to be able to have some really great companies come here, and refrain from overlooking the importance of the prison here. And it's not just because Johnny Cash is music, it's the stability that that has brought in these ups and downs, right? This is going number 4 for me here in town, is that they don't lay a lot of people off. They don't, it's very stable. And so the other thing that I believe that attributes to is that you figure, 3 shifts a day, you've got people in uniforms that are out circulating in our community. And so that's, whether they have jurisdiction or not, bad people don't like people in uniforms. So, but it's that stability. And then it's over 900 jobs at Folsom Lake campus. So, we've got some really significant employers. And then we have ones that are opposite end of the spectrum that are large names, but small presence. You take a Kikkoman, right? Kikkoman, big name, global, but they hire, I believe it's less than 30 people are actually employed there because it's so automated, right? And Gaikikon. So great global names, brand presence, no doubt about it. But the actual sheer number of people is still relatively small. But you go into, even in the aerospace and defense, L3 Harris, one of the biggest there is in the world. And then you've also got the Sierra Nevada Corporation in that same line. The California Milk Advisory Board has a wet lab here right off of Blue Ravine. So they're testing milk samples and helping set the pricing for milk based on the content of the milk right here in our town. So it's the thing for us to celebrate is we're very flattened out or diversified in the businesses that we have. We're not reliant just on one. Right. And then if something goes in that sector, then, we're not a car town that if the car industry is down, then, you've got challenges. We've got just such a wide variety. Allworth Financial moved their headquarters is here in Folsom. And that's an important one as well. So we just got a wide variety. And I'm giddy about town, and I don't apologize for it. It's something that I believe there's so many things that we've done well. Are there challenges? Of course there are, and there always will be. But it's minimizing the impact of those and maximizing the impact of the things that we do well.
Yes, absolutely.
I like what you said as far as economic stability and kind of a economy proof from ups and downs. You talk about the prison, the hospital. So we have 3 in Folsom and 1 in Rancho, right? So it's Mercy, Folsom. We have Mercy, Kaiser, and Dignity Health, and Rancho has Davis, right?
Well, UC Davis has been here for a long time. Right there by now is where Beach Hut Deli is. They've been there for a really long time. They rent out 3 of those buildings. Now it's just going to get even bigger. And also keep in mind that Vibra Hospital over off of Montrose. And I think they're number 13 in the region. So we've got our medical density is something that, again, is somewhat recession proof, right? I mean, people are always going to get sick. People are always going to get hurt. People are always going to die. I wish it were different, but it's not. So for us to be able to have that be an important part of our economy, it bodes well for us on into the future. And so then it's how do we take and maximize the amount of money to our general fund. But then it's also, that's where the good governance comes in, is how do we make good decisions with the money that we have to get the greatest return out of that money long term. And so that's kind of that balancing act. And then also getting the messaging out to people is that, yes, that's why we want hotels in Folsom, is because of the transient occupancy tax, the TOT. So when you go and stay at a hotel, you always see that charge, right? You're paying money to that community. And also look at the way we've planned it, by and large, how most of the hotels are up against the freeway. right? And when they first did the where the factory outlets are and the movie theaters and all that stuff, by and large, the bulk of our commerce is up against the freeway. That wasn't by accident. That was so that people could come into our community, spend their money, and then leave and not have a large draw on services. So
Right.
there's been a lot of forethought that's gone into our town. And if you doubt that, look up the number of times in the last 40 years that there's been amendments to our general plan, and then compare that to other communities, and it's amazing. And so, but again, go back to Intel and them taking and having one of their executives on loan to the city for 1 year. That would have been in the early 90s, probably 91, 92. So that's a great private public partnership that's paid
Yeah.
off huge dividends to us as a community, and something that, again, I'm urging people to be grateful for what's been done by a lot of people. And then more important is get involved, right? Be involved. The
Absolutely.
Constitution starts we the people,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Not our city councilor, not our city manager, or it starts we the people. So
Yes.
just be involved. That's how a
Yeah.
democracy thrives. And by everybody doing a little bit, then it's not a Herculean effort by one person. And it also takes and reduces the risk of one person or group having an undue influence over the outcome, right? So by
Right.
having
Right.
more people involved, it's
Yeah.
That's a
And,
great point.
yeah, that's so important. And I think that we definitely have made our mark in our community with Community Service Day. And we are just a community that really cares and wants to support and wants to do. So that is
Yeah.
definitely a true testament to Folsom.
Yeah. And backtracking a little bit to the hospitals, we get a lot of clients that relocate from the Bay Area or different areas that are retirees. And that's one of the factors they consider is where they want to be close to hospitals. They want to be close to healthcare. And that's what makes us more attractive here in Folsom is that, we're great for retirees that like to be outdoors and have easy access to San Francisco, easy access to the mountains. We have 2 lakes here, plus the river. And this is just, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm with you. This is a great place.
yeah.
Well,
And
since we're talking about enjoyment, I mean, we also have our arts culture,
Oh,
our
right.
community of the Harris Center and El Dorado Hills Musical Theater has their program. We have Sutter Street Theater. Folsom High has a great, amazing arts and drama program, as well as
As well as
Vista
Vista,
High School.
yeah.
Also, we're just so
They're
blessed. with-
black box.
yes, with so many just amenities and rich in culture, rich in just the people that want to give and do, the leaders in our community. And that is you, Phil, and your family that are always giving and always doing in the community. So we're grateful to you. I mean, you're you're a great example of one of our residents that does so much, and your family does so much in the community.
Yes, absolutely.
we're just one
You're
piece.
leading by example.
Yeah, we're just one piece, and we put our time and our money where our mouth is. We don't just talk about things. We'll get stuff done, but I want to make sure is there are so many like us, and that's what makes Folsom Folsom, is that it's a large percentage that are very active and that do different things and take on different roles within the community. And even then you can throw in, look at our music programs that are in the schools, right? That they're
Yes.
fantastic.
Oh,
Incredible.
And the athletics programs as well. So I think that if you look around and thought, where's a really well-rounded place that has almost something for anyone, Folsom's going to rank up there pretty high. And even Toll
Absolutely.
Brothers is adding another 1,100 units in a age-restricted community, Diamond Glen. So we have all of these different features, and I don't know how else to say it. I'm going to stammer a little bit here. It's just I'm not sure how much better we can get. We'll still strive for it, but it's really darn good. And
It
so,
really
but
is.
I think that in any area and in our region, right? So that's even macro house we talked about along our corridor, but then even in Sacramento, I'm not a huge soccer fan, but I understand the importance of it and the run that the Sac Republic has been on. And Kevin Nagel was out here at Granite City Co-working this last Thursday, did a great presentation. And, in that open tournament of, I think it was 160 teams, and to have the Sac Republic beat 3 MLS teams and lost in the finals to an MLS team, and it was a tied score and lost because the other team scored first. that's competitive. And so, if we to get that soccer stadium here into Sacramento, again, we'll have a large ripple effect on all of us, keeping the Sacramento Kings. I'm not a big basketball guy. I'm a wrestler guy. I get a hold of stuff and choke it. But I understand the economics of it and why it's so important to have things like that. And keeping in mind that, Sacramento proper is about 550,000 people, plus or minus. In our 6-county region, it's about 2.1 million people. Is that when you look at all of the opportunities that we have, and even take transportation, look, Sacramento Airport, it's easy to get in and out of. I mean, again, travel some, you go to
Yeah,
these other places and it's not as easy. And so it's just the availability, and even to get to the Bay is the connection with light
Right.
rail, with Amtrak. It's in Sac Airport. I mean, we can get in and around just about as best as any place that I've seen, and something that again, what I believe is the greatest thing for us to pay attention to in Folsom, in our submarket, in our region, is complacency. That's
right.
my biggest concern, is that people, that apathy sets in, and that they feel like, well, we don't need to do that anymore. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
When you start taking steps to success, you don't get to take shortcuts. You actually have to do more. Right? Same as
Right.
Right.
working out. You start working out, you don't get to work out less to maintain or improve. You have to work out more.
More.
And that's what a message to send to everybody that we all talk to is, now is not the time to sit back and rest on our laurels, is the phrase.
Right.
Is for us to continue to lean forward and get more people involved, so it has that additive effect. And so far so good. I'm very pleased.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
absolutely.
brought up transportation. You want to talk about the Elk Grove Folsom
Connector.
connector? Yeah, because that's
Sure,
awesome. We just
happy
went through
to.
the ribbon
Yeah,
cutting there.
yeah, we had the ribbon cutting. We got to see each other there. Is that's a People underestimate how important that is. And especially from an economic perspective, is the availability for us to take and do commerce and to get to Elk Grove in probably 17 minutes when it's all done. I literally was on that yesterday, coming back up from Bakersfield. And, the parts that are completed that are 4 lanes, you make great progress through it, and then
Right.
Mhm.
when it was back down to 2 lanes, you're going, oh yeah, now I remember what this was like. But it's an intriguing one. And go back to Folsom Auburn Road when we expanded it out to Douglas. Remember, we got it to the county line, and then it sat there for, it was a couple of years, until that was completed all the way to Douglas. And then similar, Green Valley Road, right up to Francisco,
Right.
we
Right.
extended it at 4 lanes, and it gets to a county line. So there's this multi-jurisdictional impact that we have here, and I'm not going to say it's not for better or for worse. It's just, it adds to our opportunity to really work as a region. There's not a lot of places that have that, where you have multiple counties that come together right at one point. There are others, but it really does provide that opportunity. But that South Area connector, going from Elk Grove up to Silva Valley on the east side of El Dorado Hills, that one's going to be a big deal to help get traffic off of Highway 50, right? Because then
Right.
people that are
Oh my,
going to South Shore, instead of coming through 50 because they didn't want to deal with Grant Line anyway, or even know about it, with Google Maps now they probably do, but just don't want to deal with that, so they stay on it. That's going to make a big difference. And even within our local region, it's fantastic. And as much as we want to say, well, people need to drive less, people aren't going to drive less, right? I
No,
mean,
that's
that's
not real.
I just don't foresee that happening in my lifetime. If anything, it's going to be autonomous, right? With the California
Right.
Mobility Center there at Sac State is working on, to where I definitely foresee in my lifetime is, I won't have to drive. Is you get into a vehicle that it does the driving, and so
Yeah.
that's, you had mentioned Micron earlier. That's their automotive chip division is here in Folsom, and so they're doing a ton of work. We were over there on their lab test floor a couple weeks ago, and they have it now to where they can, through your facial recognition, the car will provide sensors when they see your eyes are drooping, or if your head is turned away from an angle more than what you would be looking straight ahead. The car actually has sensors built in.
oh
So,
Wow.
my gosh, that's
there's
Wow.
amazing.
transportation is an interesting one, and
Yeah.
one that I think will help propel us further into the future.
I always tell my kids, hey, you're never going to have to take my license away, because by the time I get to that point, the car, it'll be just, can you tell the car what to do? Great, you passed your driving test.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. One of the engineers there, he was talking about how, some people think that self-driving cars is bad. He says on average now cars have about 27 sensors versus 2 eyes and 2 ears.
Right.
Right. So,
Right.
and they don't have outside influences of stress and inebriation and other things, right? That
Right.
have the human element involved. So there's, it's a fairly short conversation of would it be better to have autonomous vehicles or not, right? And
Yeah.
even if they don't go fully autonomous, even now cars today versus, cars from 20 years ago, the amount of information that's available to us as humans from that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's
That old
intriguing.
saying, I don't have eyes in the back of my head. Well, the car does.
Yeah, the car does now, and on the
Car-
side, and all
Yeah.
from all
Yeah.
around. So,
All
but look, I
around.
think
Yeah.
our region will continue to. We're the California is the fifth largest economy in the world, right? So if we were a country, we'd be the fifth largest country. Our population hovers around 40 million. It's not because it's all bad. Don't buy the
Right.
lie. If it was that bad, all of us wouldn't still live here. So there
Right.
may be parts that we don't agree with. There are parts that we wish were different. But even look at the agriculture that's here in California. Right? I mean, we're still the breadbasket to the world. And look at the amount that we export
Yeah.
out of California. And then certainly from technology and financial perspective, Silicon Valley and the money for research and development that goes on and medical developments, UCSF, et cetera, UC Davis. They look at UC Davis continues to lead in the rankings of universities here in California. Don't refrain from forgetting McGeorge School of Law. So anything from legal, right? McGeorge School of Law right here in Sacramento. So they just and then North State University here is going to be building where it was the old Arco Arena. That's going to have a massive impact as well. So I believe that we keep bringing in businesses and things that will add to a highly skilled, highly paid employment base, which then gives that disposable income that then that money comes from sales tax, the TOT taxes, et cetera, increased property tax into our government. So where we can, the things we get spoiled with, particularly here in Folsom, we have our own police, our own fire, our own parks and rec. We got our own dang library, we got our own zoo. The things that we get spoiled by are because of people working really hard together and spending hard as well.
Yeah.
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 We are
Agreed.
definitely blessed. And I think it's continuing to show that we do have quality of life here, and businesses and companies are recognizing that it's quality of life. It's live, work, prosper. And this is where it's happening. And it's evident, and it's been showing, and it's
Mhm.
because of all the great leadership that we've had in the region. And you included, of course, Phil, thank you for your leadership and economic development for the Greater
Absolutely.
Folsom Partnership.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to see this all evolve and be a part of it and live through it.
You can shop and play where you live.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
ask.
Yep,
Yeah.
we encourage that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are we leaving anything out?
Yeah.
I know we could talk for hours
know.
because we love our community so much. But
Yeah.
we want to, value your time as well.
Yeah.
Is there anything
Well,
we're
Phil, you are
missing?
just a huge bank of information about this area, and we really appreciate you. But
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry, were you about to say something?
Yeah, it's just feel free, anyone listening is to reach out to you, and then certainly I'm happy to come back. I feel that the more that we engage, and I do it this way, the three things we need in alphabetical order, please. Alphabetical: communication, communication, and communication.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's
I like all three of those.
that's what we need.
Amen.
Awesome.
Yes. Thank
Good.
you, Phil, so much for your time today.
Yeah.
And we look forward to doing this again soon, because as we know, we're going to have more updates and more announcements coming up for our great community. So we'll be in touch, and it's always great to see you.
Happy to
Thank you,
share, and
Phil.
thanks for all you do as well.
Appreciate
you.
you. And if
Thanks.
you have any questions, you can call us at
Yep.
916-220-7508, 916-220-7508, or you can call you.
Yes, 916-367-8900. Have a great day. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.